So I'm back on that Toshiba DVR620, the one that the head drum had seized up on. We're going to do the mode switch on this. I'm going to film this in real time so you guys can get an idea how long it takes to take one of these things apart and what you need to take apart to do it, because mode switch problems is one of the #1 problems that VCRs have, especially if it's been sitting around for a while. So this is what you need to do the mode switch on a DVR620. If you guys watched the prior video, you'll remember that this is the one that the head drum was totally seized up and would not turn, where we took the head drum apart and lubricated the main bearing here. In this video, I want to do the mode switch on this one, because mode switches on these machines are a known issue. So there's a procedure to do it. So let's go ahead and clean the mode switch on this. This requires pretty much a total disassembly of these machines. And other problems that these have is fans that go bad as well, but that's pretty straightforward to fix up a fan on one of these. But let's clean the mode switch on this mechanism. So the first thing I need to do is I need to remove the front panel. And I basically have to remove the DVD recorder and the entire machine from the chassis so that I can get the circuit board, which is below it, off. So we need to remove these screws. We need to remove the front cover. Once we remove the front cover, we do need to remove this little ribbon cable from the front connector here. This is for the AV inputs on the front. Remove the top cover. Next is the DVD recorder. Needs to come undone, so we'll remove the 4 screws that hold the DVD recorder in and remove the plug that connects the DVD recorder to the main board. I think there's 4 screws. Yeah, there's 4 screws that hold this in place. And there should be a screw on the back as well that holds the HDMI port for the DVD recorder. Remove those and the DVD deck should lift out. We got to remove this plug on the front as well, I think. And it should lift out now at this point. Oh, one more cable. I'll do that one. That plug on the front is for the FireWire input. Okay, now I need to remove the screws that hold the power supply in place. Actually, I don't know if I might be able to leave the power supply in on this one. No, it has to come out. There's screws that hold the main chassis in place. So we have to remove the power supply. Now I'll remove the screws that hold the rest of the chassis in place. Don't forget to take off the button boards on the front, as they are permanently connected to the board, so the button boards have to come off. As do all the screws that hold the circuit board in place. Note which screws are long and which screws are short. You want to avoid removing all of the actual screws from the controls. You can remove the 3 black screws, and the back should lift off. Now, the last one of these units that we looked at was the DVR7, which was a little different machine, so disassembly procedure on it was different. If you remember, it had a circuit board on the top here because it had a tuner on it. This one does not have a tuner. I think I gotta take these ones out. These ones in the front, and I think there's another one back here somewhere if I'm not mistaken. Maybe there isn't. I thought there was. There is one down here, yes. Once we get all the screws out on the circuit board and the black base, we should be able to lift the entire unit out. Circuit board and all. I guess I am going to have to take out these screws. I was hoping I didn't have to, but I guess I will have to take out these ones because they're going to trap, the back is going to trap the board. Cordless screwdrivers for the benefit of those that don't like the sound of it, because I don't care. Yes, believe it or not, I get people complaining about the sound that my cordless screwdriver makes, if you can believe it. Okay, back cover off, I'll unplug the fan. Get it out of the way. I think this should lift out now. Oh, one more screw. One more screw right down there. I believe that's all it needs. This should lift out. There we go. Okay, now we're into the bottom of this. Mode switches. That one right there. There are a couple screws I got to take out to remove the circuit board. One screw is right here. So we'll remove that screw. The other screw is underneath this flex cable. So we gotta be careful with this one because they do damage easy. Kind of lift it up out of the way a bit just to get the screw underneath it. And note that the two screws are different. This one's a plastic screw and this one's a metal screw. I'll just put those aside. Now I can lift the board down, put a bit of slack through there, and I can get to the mode switch, which is right here, right there. I'm going to pop the mode switch apart, just like that, and then I can get in there and clean it with some deoxit or neutral or whatever. It's at hand. In this case, it's neutral. That's just because I don't feel like going and getting the deoxit. And neutral is nothing wrong with neutral as a cleaner. We'll spray some neutral onto the contacts on the switch. In fact, I don't even need to use a Q-tip on this thing, but I will. I'll put some on the Q-tip, just so that I can wipe the switch contacts here. Make sure that they are clean. And we can do the same for the contacts on here. Wipe the contacts down. Switch looks okay actually. Put the switch back together. It just snaps in place. Like that. Spin it around a few times. Polish the contacts up. You guys can see what I'm doing right. I'm just turning the switch around. We're going to put it back in the home position, which is kind of like that, because it's got to line up with a hole in the bottom of this cam gear here. There's a hole in this cam gear. So we reinsert the pin of the cam gear there. That goes into the switch itself, like that. It slides in there like that. Get the alignment correct. And the key of the mode switch will slide right into the hole on that cam gear, and the pin will protrude through the bottom of the board when you are correct. Now we can put the two screws back in to hold the chassis in place. And then it's reassembly time. I do have to admit, VCRs over the years, man, you know, these were such a complex piece of equipment, and in those last couple of years that they made them, they got them really down pat as far as reducing the number of parts in them. If you think of the old VCRs, how many parts they had in them, and they got them down to just a couple of big chips, a couple of big LSIs and some support circuits. And really, they, in the last couple of years that they made VCRs, I have to admit, they did get them down quite, down pat, basically. They got them quite good as far as the layout of the parts go. Serviceability wise, they became a joke because everything was on one board and they couldn't even put connectors on. They just put little lengths of wire on there and so forth. So they certainly made them a little harder to work on, but they really did get the parts count down over the years. If you compare to some of the early VCRs, which had boards everywhere, right? They have a board for the chroma and a board for the comb filter, a board for the luminance, and board for the audio, and separate tuner board and IF board. Once you've done a couple of these ones, they're actually not that difficult to clean that mode switch on. I think the first one I did took me hours to figure out just how to get it apart. Now you can see, after doing a couple, these things come apart quite easy. And they go together even easier. They just drop in place. Chassis drops in place, throw the screws in. I'm kind of doing this in real time so you guys can see how long it took to do this whole job. So I've been leaving the camera running, haven't been cutting much out, just so you guys can see what it takes to do this. It's not that hard. The power supply screws. Put the back on it now. You notice that when I take things apart, I usually pile the screws up in little separate piles, like the DVD screws are over there. I don't know if you guys have ever noticed that, but typically when I take something apart, I will put the screws that go to specific assemblies in different little piles. So when I put it back together, when I grab a pile of screws, like the screws back here, for example, are for that. But when I put it back together, this is particularly important when you're dealing with different length screws, because some screws are long, some screws are short. We throw them all in the same bin, and then you forget which ones go where. Generally not a problem if you put a short screw where there was supposed to be a long screw, but it is definitely a problem if you jam a long screw somewhere where there's supposed to be a short screw. That can cause all kinds of problems. I had some idiot at work. One of our associates, I guess, that does contract work for the firm during the whole pandemic lockdown, didn't want to go into a customer's house, so they gave them equipment to do themselves, and it was an automatic door lock, smart door lock, that they were attempting to install. Where's that go? That goes underneath there. And anyway, the customer installed a long screw where there was supposed to be a short screw, and bottomed it out, but just kept driving it in. And they drove a long screw into the gearbox on a $100 door lock. Yeah, it was lots of fun. I was one that got sent to replace the door lock that was damaged. Two of these screws actually go in first. The other two go in through the front cover. So we'll just drive those in first. That'll hold the bracket in place. Let's open up the tape compartment so that the door clears the mechanism. All the buttons are working. A couple more screws that I didn't get in before. One there. I don't think it's that important. There's another one over here. And I think that's all of them. Now plug this thing in and watch it go boom. So that's how you clean the mode switch on one of these DVR620s. We'll go through all the motions, make sure that all the functions are working. So I've got fast forward, or search forward, I should say. Search reverse, stop. Full fast forward. Full rewind. Back to play. Got a picture. We'll check the DVD unit out, make sure that it's working. So DVD disc in, DVD disc play. Still voting. And the DVD is playing. Okay, that about does it for this one. Top cover on, and this one is ready to go. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one real soon. Bye for now.